Today on Locked On Rockies, until this team stops allowing runs in the first inning, we're going to continue to see series losses. You can't be outscored 23-4 in the first.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 15th day of April in the year 2024. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every ball game is talk about the Colorado Rockies. Well, not each and every ball game, I guess I should say. Each and every weekday here on the Locked On Podcast Network, as well as the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can let me know what's on your mind. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. Let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. The support has been great from you folks here throughout the season and through the offseason. Really, really appreciate all of y'all tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. We're going to talk about the Blue Jays series there, stuff that we like, stuff that we didn't like, but really the biggest theme, the biggest storyline continues to be this team's struggles early in games and striking out. I mean, I know keep bringing it up. But unfortunately, it still is the biggest issue that remains with the Colorado Rockies. Now, a little bit of yesterday's game, the Sunday game, there was a little bit of bad luck, but you got a guy making his debut on Saturday. You just exploded for 20 hits and 12 runs on the road, something you never really do as a team. And then a guy comes out and makes, and you're behind by 5 in the first inning. And then yesterday you're down by 1. When it's a consistent battle, uphill battle, it makes things harder. It makes a very difficult game much more difficult. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the strikeout issues. We're going to talk about the pitching, all that good stuff. And of course, April 15th, we are on Kris Bryant injury watch as well here, as we'll be talking about all of that. And of course, looking ahead to the series against Philly. Before we dive into everything today, just want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. Okay, so this weekend, I mean, you start off and you're pumped and you're happy and you're excited and you're thrilled and everyone's doing great things. And you're like, hey, the first win for the Rockies in Toronto ever. And it was an offensive explosion. I mean, that the Rockies looked like the team that they could potentially be in that game on Friday. And then you score 3 runs in 2 games. I mean, this is it. I mean, this is when we're talking about the Rockies, it continues to be the conversation about consistency. It continues to be the conversation about playing your best ball, about taking advantage of opportunities. And plain and simple, the Rockies did that in 1 game, but not in the other 2. They had a base running blunder that cost them tying runs in a game that really that after Dakota Hudson let up the grand slam, that he kept the game close the entire time there. But it doesn't really matter about looking at you can continue to look at that stuff and be like, hey, that's encouraging, bounce back, there's fight, there's energy. And Sunday's game, they got beat. I think plain and simple, the Blue Jays sent out their best pitcher, an elite pitcher who has had a history of dominating the Rockies, and you got beat by their ace. What, you know, in that one's at least a little bit more of an easy pill to swallow versus the fact that you're down 5 in game 2, in inning 1, to a guy making his major league debut. I believe he was making his debut, or a guy I wasn't overly familiar with in the game on Saturday here. And on top of that, Yariel Rodriguez there, he gets 6 strikeouts. I mean, the Rockies do such a good job of. It was his major league debut on Friday or on Saturday there for the Jays, but it's 6 strikeouts, man. 2 walks, and an earned run in 3 2/3. But then the Rockies go on to strike out 3 times against the Bowden Francis. Tim Maiza gets a strikeout. Chad Green gets 2. Yimi Garcia gets 3. In a game where the Rockies had multiple scoring opportunities, in a game where this game could have been tied, in a game where every opportunity matters, strikeouts are going to kill you. Are absolutely going to kill you. I mean, you just can't build the momentum. You can't hope for the big hit if you're going down on strikes. The least productive out is a strikeout, and the Rockies do it far too much again. They're not the team that struck out the most. It's amazing. The team that struck out the most is actually the Dodgers, 172 strikeouts. But as a team, they're batting .264, .341 with a slugging of .439 and an OPS of .780, including 25 home runs, 94 RBI, 29 doubles, and 163 hits, the most in the majors for sure. If you have the length and the depth, you can navigate the strikeouts, but you have to be able to punish. And unfortunately for the Rockies, they're not doing enough punishing because they so often they have to just get back into the game. Whether it be 1 run, 5 runs, 10 runs, 7 runs, 9 runs, whatever the run total is, constantly playing from behind is not only a bad thing, but it's draining. It's mentally draining. I can only imagine what it feels like to watch that ball drop out of Brendan Rodgers' hand yesterday after Brendan Rodgers, I know he's trying to make a tough play. I'm not taking anything away from him, but look, 2 outs, you get a weakly hit pop fly that just somehow lands in the Bermuda Triangle that makes it a tough play, and it's another first inning run. Being outscored 23-4 in the first inning is a massive problem. It's a massive problem. You saw it yesterday in the finale. If you have a chance to go up against an elite pitcher and he gets you base runners on early, you have to be the team that punishes. The Rockies have to be the team that punishes. They don't do enough of that. It's runners in scoring position, strikeout. And the zones this weekend were suspect at best, but at least we're suspect on both sides. The point of the matter is this team, when you're it just feels like every game starts for the Rockies and they're down 1-0. And you can't build any sort of momentum there. What's the difference? Let's take a look at the difference here on in the Friday matchup here. I can't remember if they scored first in that one. They actually didn't. Rockies again playing from behind in that game before scoring in 6 straight innings there, this second through the 7th, before getting two more in the 12th, or not the 12th, the 9th, to make it up to a 12-run lead there for the Rockies. It's the flashes of possibilities are there when the team is rolling, but then Saturday's games happen. I mean, Saturday's game is the prime example of the Rockies right now. Oh, man, hey, coming off a win, looking great, backing things up. Still some stuff to be hesitant about, but wow, 20 hits, 12 runs? I mean, on the road in a place that the Rockies have never won before? I mean, that's the energy starter. That's the trend setter. That's the emotion setter. First inning, next game, down 5. I mean, you can see how that's a problem. You can see, as we talked about before, it's about avoiding the bad stretches. It's about putting the good stretches together, making them longer. The Rockies haven't won back-to-back games since August of last year, I think is what I heard on the broadcast. August. If I recall correctly, we played baseball in September last year. So, yes, there's little flashes. Oh, that's interesting. That's intriguing. Oh, man, Brenton Doyle's approach is looking great. He's got another home run. Ezekiel Tovar leads the yard. Man, Kris Bryant hitting the ball, crashes into the wall, and now we're on Kris Bryant injury watch. Let's talk about that coming up here in segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked on Rockies. Before we get to that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Hey, we are also brought to you by Monopoly Go. I've been told that I'm a competitive person. Are you a competitive person? Well, if you are a competitive person and have a competitive side, I think we all do have a little bit of one. You can check out Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. You can play with your friends, not only play with your friends, but mess with your friends as well. You can charge them rent on your iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly, but you can also rob their vaults for riches, just like all those people you know. Maybe the banker, you never know what the banker's doing. And the leaderboards show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go on the App Store or Google Play. It's now free on the Google Play or App Store. Download Monopoly Go today. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. Hey, you can also find all your play-by-play action of the Colorado Rockies on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. The whole Philly series, just search Colorado Rockies on SiriusXM or the SiriusXM app, and you will find your Rockies play-by-play action there. Hey, once again, go check out the YouTube channel. Really appreciate a lot of folks that have been tuning in and joining us over there. And really, really do appreciate that. The support here on the pod as we roll on into segment number 2 of today's episode here. And as soon as Kris Bryant made that play, which was a good play, I was encouraged by I was like pretty blown away. I was like, hey, that's a pretty good read. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest route, but he stuck with the ball in an environment he's not familiar with. But the way he did it, he twists, he turns, he crashes, he grimaces. I mean, you were just watching the play happen, and you were just, as soon as he got up and I saw his face, I was just like, there's the Kris Bryant injury. There's the Kris Bryant injury. Twisting, turning, back issues, and we see that Kris Bryant leaves the game early on Saturday. He does stay in. After the injury, he stays in the game for a couple more innings before exiting the game, making way for Michael Toglia, and he did not play in Sunday's game as well. Here's what Bud Black had to say on Saturday. Don't think it's bad, but we'll see how it is overnight. Hoping he's back in there tomorrow and it resolves itself. He was not. Follows up with, that ball was hit hard. It wasn't like a fly ball. It was more of a line drive. It got out there pretty quickly, so Kris had to react. He ended up making the catch knowing that the wall was there and was going to be contact, and he hung on, so that was a good play. Bryant got loose in the cage and doubled in the second, but continued to stiffen up before striking out in the fourth. He was mentioned in the broadcast yesterday that he would be available for an at-bat if the Rockies needed him late in the game. So are we in full-blown like panic mode yet? No, but I've heard minor Kris Bryant injuries that have then flared up into bigger issues before. And plain and simple here, if it's still stiff, if the back is still tight, I mean, can we get a little insight into how that's impacted him in the first couple of weeks of the season? Was Kris Bryant really as healthy as did he feel healthy, feel confident? But in reality, his body was not as confident as he was. Or was there, again, a little bit more hesitation with Kris Bryant going into the season? I mean, it was a tough play. But we're not even 3 weeks into the season and his back is locking up. That's a problem. I mean, the issues, the injuries, the concerns. I mean, say what you will about the I mean, if this back injury is still nagging him, did it nag him for the first 3 weeks? How serious is this? And going forward, are we going to be able to count on Kris Bryant to play 5 days a week? And is he going to be able to back that up? Is he going to be able to perform? We saw the glimpse of it on Friday. I think he had a couple of hits. I think it was a double on Friday. I mean, he had a double in the Saturday game before leaving the game as well. Kris Bryant on Friday goes 2 for 5, 2 RBI in that game. But here, I mean, I can't sit here and really have any form of confidence that the back injury is just minor. I'm not buying it. I'm not. Whether it's soreness, tightness, whatever, if his lower half isn't allowing him to twist and rotate, he's going to continue to hit weak contact, weak balls. He's not going to have good exit velocity. If your lower half of your body, your trunk ain't moving, there's no way. If he can't move, if his lower back is locked up and stiff, he can't fire the hips. He can't drive through the baseball. And the Rockies need that. He keeps playing right field. Again, he's playing right field. Why? Because you're trying to figure out all these positions. You got to get Montero in there, and Charlie Blackmon's sick. Why is Kris Bryant not DHing in that situation? If you're going to go Stallings, Elias Diaz is not as reliable as a DH when you have other options. I would have played Tolia in right. I would have played Kris Bryant at DH, and I would play Monty at first. That's what it should look like when Charlie Blackmon is not in the lineup. Charlie Blackmon has played right field his entire career. So as much as I was hesitant about watching Charlie Blackmon play right field, the guy's been doing it his entire career. Dude knows how to play right field. I'm not overly confident in Kris Bryant, the outfielder. I'm not. He's not fast. It wasn't a great route. The plan for Kris Bryant was to have him play first base so he doesn't get injured. And what do? They put him in right field and he tweaks his back. What are we doing? I really don't understand that call. Why are the Rockies not doing what we thought that they were going to be doing? Why are the Rockies playing Kris Bryant in right field in a situation where they don't need to play him in right field? Are you more confident in the defensive right field abilities of Kris Bryant versus Michael Tolia? Because I'm not. I haven't seen Kris Bryant be an elite outfield defender. He looks slow. First base is fine. I'm okay with that. And, and Montero getting consistent playing time is what the Rockies needed to do. Sure. But with Charlie being out for those 2 games with the illness, you had the prime opportunity to keep Tolia in the lineup, who has shown that he deserves a chance to be in the lineup with his approach and his swings. And you can keep Kris Bryant in the position where he's way less likely to get injured and keep getting him at bats. But instead, he's playing right field in a field that really nobody on the Rockies is all that familiar with, at the Rogers Center in Toronto. Most Rockies, the first time the Rockies have played in Toronto in nearly a decade. The time is, you have to put Kris Bryant in the positions to stay healthy, and right field ain't it. What we have learned outside of him getting hit by the pitch last year, his body is not allowing him to play outfield right now. The wear and tear of outfield mixed with how his body has been going is getting in the way. If you're going to have him be the first baseman, have him play first freaking base. Have him be the DH. Instead, right field crashes into the wall when the Rockies don't need to be in that position. Pretty sure on Friday, Elias Diaz caught. Elias Diaz was the catcher, and Kris Bryant did DH on Friday. Tolia played in right field on Friday. Why would you not just rerun the same lineup out there? You're putting him in positions where it just isn't the move. There's no reason. Chuck's back in the lineup here on Saturday with being sick, but even in that instance, I probably would have. I know it's tough to sit Charlie Blackmon, but if he's sick, let him sit. Just continuing to find ways to put Kris Bryant in right field doesn't make sense. Kris Bryant's already played more right field this year than I thought. You have too many other options. And you can't bet. Obviously, Kris Bryant can't sit after driving in a couple of runs and having his best offensive day at the dish, of course. But if Chuck is sick, have him sit an extra day and have Bryant DH again. I don't know why you had a lineup that had great success and you don't run it back on the day against the guy making his debut. That's the type of stuff that gets people frustrated as the organization and the head ups there. I know if Charlie's ready to go, you got him. I get that. But those two guys in particular, you're going to have to figure out ways to make sure that you're keeping them healthy. I'm more confident that Chuck can stay healthy. Chuck got hurt because of a freak thing last year. Chuck hasn't tweaked his back playing right field. It really just doesn't make any sense. Legit, going forward through this season, if his back is a problem, Kris Bryant cannot play right field. He's either not in the game, playing first, or DHing. Because we've seen playing outfield for Kris Bryant exponentially increases his chances of getting injured. And if you're buying in fully to Kris Bryant and what he brings to this lineup, he has to stay healthy. Playing right field is not the way to keep Kris Bryant healthy. You have Michael Toglia who can play right field. You have Charlie Blackmon who can play right field, and you have Montero that can play as a backup with first base in the DH. Kris Bryant is not an outfielder. The experiment has not worked. At least in my opinion. All right. Let's look ahead here to the Philly series, and let's see what lies ahead for the Colorado Rockies here as we wind things down on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance is a great place if you need some investment accounts and retirement accounts, and with some advice, you can consolidate your views of your investment and retirement accounts in one place from multiple accounts, all into one hub, and access the expert analysis you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence. When it comes to your financial future, you think you've done it all. You've saved, you've researched, you've invested all that you can. Now you get to use the Yahoo Finances, and you take those investments to the next level by using what every financial great uses, Yahoo Finance. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. They are the #1 finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com. The #1 financial destinations, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. Folks, thank you so much for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Hey, if you are tired of all of the yelling about the NFL draft, well, guess what? Locked On's got you covered. It's Locked On NFL Mock Draft live on April 17th at 7 Eastern. streaming on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on April 17th at 7 Eastern to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL mock draft on April 17th at 7 Eastern, streaming live on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. All right, folks. Rockies head to Philly here. Philly 8-8 on the season, as the Rockies playing a familiar foe and a team certainly that has the abilities to jump out ahead and do some damage. Philly here over there has won. They won their series against the Nationals. They have then split their last 2 series. So the Phillies are playing 500 ball, and that would be reflective of the fact that they are 500. So this is a team that certainly has offensive potential. It's in those a team that hasn't been shut out here in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight games. And in that time, they were able to put up crooked numbers throughout the way. It's a 5-2 win, 4-0 win there to get the wins over the Nationals, beating the Cardinals 5-3 and 4-3, and then taking down the Pirates 5-1 and 4-3. What's going to be the secret to this? Well, not getting behind early. Going to have to handle a hot-hitting Brandon Marsh here, who's started the season off batting .312 with 4 home runs. Alec Boehm has 10 RBI this season. There is offense here on this team and on this roster for the Phillies here, and a team looking to make sure that they can take advantage of this situation. I know it's early and it doesn't mean much, but with Atlanta only at 9-5, how is Atlanta at 9-5? They must have some cancellations or something like that in terms of makeup games. But Philly looking to put themselves above 500 in this series and make up this ground against Atlanta here, so they can keep fighting and being in that fight there for a really tough NL East there, with Atlanta and Philly fighting for the top. Miami, Washington, and the Mets, maybe a little bit different story, but a lot of teams that when they see the Rockies on their schedule, especially when they see the Rockies rolling into town, they're licking their chops. The best thing the Rockies can do in this series is to do exactly what they did in Game 1 against Toronto. Jump out early, and score. Be good on offense. I mean, even though the Rockies got shut out in the finale there, at least the Rockies are showing the ability to get some runs here, get some hits on the road. In Sunday's finale, you got beat. You got beat by a really good pitcher. You got beat by one of the best. And I think that is something, as you're looking at the post-game coverage of the finale there against the Jays. That's what the Rockies said about that one. I mean, the guy was dealing. That happens sometimes too. But it would be really great for the Rockies to string 2 wins to win a series. Take advantage of the opportunities when they are given to you. The Rockies certainly had a chance to win that ball game there on Saturday, and a chance to be in this series. But folks, we are going to wrap things up here on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Rockies taking on the Phillies today at 4:40 Mountain Time, so a little bit early series there on the East Coast. As a reminder, it is going to be Cal Quantrill leading things off for the Rockies tonight. Folks, find us on your favorite streaming services. Find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Your support means the world. Really appreciate you all making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB, or big time in Colorado sports right now with Locked On Avalanche and Locked On Nuggets, keeping you covered here for the playoffs. And you got Locked On Buffs, Locked On Broncos as well. Until next time, folks, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.